movie star. Pretty powerful stuff. How did it start?
How did it start? Yes, and thank you guys so much, not only for that wonderful applause just now from Mediha, but just for coming out. It's a subtitled foreign language film that's not always the easiest draw, so to have this crowd here is amazing, so thank you. It started, I was in the region working on a different project. My translator was Yazidi. I heard of their story. This is, by their account, the 73rd genocide committed against them. So I heard of their tragic past, and then in 2018, I read that there was still, even though the Western world had forgotten about ISIS and just thought they had fallen and disappeared, I read that there was still 3,000 Yazidis in captivity or otherwise missing. I went over, and I had sort of planned to tell the story through a more classic documentary lens. I'm obviously not from the region, or I'm not from the region. I'm not Yazidi, and so I had always been interested in this power balance between filmmaker and participant. It's always been heavily on the side of the filmmaker, and so in the back of my mind, I'd always wanted to do a project where I handed the tools over to the participant, and so I met Mediha, and you know, we had high hopes, but she blew us away, her and her brothers blew us away with that first batch of footage. And really how we met, it was just wandering through the camp one day, and we met Ghazwan, her brother. He has that same sort of spark that you see here in Mediha, and they took the reins, and here we are.
Yeah, wow. So you started filming before you met Hassan, yes? No? No, okay. So when you met, that idea developed?
Yeah, and I had wanted to see if a participant could, take agency and use it as a tool to regain her own agency. Yeah. We had thought it would be sort of vignettes, maybe. We didn't know what role the home videos would play. And so I just taught them the basics, really just the basics. And then that first batch of footage, we knew that they could take this on.
Great. Are you still making film? Do you want to make more films?
Yeah, I want to make number 2 Mediha.
Mediha number 2. I tell her she can direct this one.
Yes. Okay. Cool. Now you've been in the United States how long?
Almost 1 year. November is gonna be 1 year for me. I'm in the United States, like all the United States. Yeah.
So you've been all over the United States?
Yeah.
With the film, for one?
Oh, yeah.
Went to Sundance? Yeah.
Sorry?
Weren't you at Sundance?
Yes. No, we weren't at Sundance. My last one was at Slam Dance.
Is that right?
Yes.
Wow. You did not play Sundance?
Scheduling conflicts, we like to say.
Okay. Wow. Okay. I'd like to hear more about that. So what is the current status of ISIS in terms of, should we talk at all about the fact that the development of ISIS grew out of the American war in Iraq?
Sure, we can talk about that. Perhaps we talk about something that is currently sort of a ticking time bomb. Those scenes that you saw in Syria, that is many experts, and I agree as well that will be the coming of the second caliphate if things are not done. That is a now 300,000 strong camp where it's Sharia law. The guards just prevent people from leaving, and there is no plan for what to do with the inhabitants, the families within that camp. So just, 2 weeks ago, there was a drastic increase of hate speech online from certain religious clerics in the region against the Yazidis. A lot of them fled from that camp you see towards Sinjar, again the mountain. and they fear there'll be a repeat again. And every issue you just saw in the movie is not only unsolved, but worse than it was when we filmed this. 2 weeks ago was the 10-year anniversary of the genocide, the 2014 genocide. So not only has this genocide not come to any sort of close, but there's real fears of what's to come next.
Has the International Criminal Court been involved at all?
Yes, but it's tricky. As you saw in the film, the Kurdish-Iraq jurisdiction issue is a huge problem of not only where are we going to find these ISIS fighters, the perpetrators, but once we find them, what are we going to do? Once we spend those resources, what are we going to do with them? There's no agreement, and there's little appetite for anything that could push the Yazidi cause forward from either side. There's been 8 cases successfully brought against ISIS members for what they did to the Yazidi people. Unfortunately, those cases were brought against European-based ISIS fighters. So 0 perpetrators have been brought to justice within Iraq, and that is, as you can imagine, a massive source of frustration for the Yazidi people.
So Mediha, will you stay in the U.S.?
Oh yeah, I'm in asylum case. Yeah.
You are an asylum seeker?
Yeah, secret.
What
Yeah.
was yesterday? Yesterday you had a special something, Mediha.
Oh yeah, celebration in my asylum, like graduation, my asylum secret. Yeah.
Yes. So as of yesterday, she's officially an asylum seeker.
Wow. So as of yesterday, you are officially an asylum seeker.
Oh yeah.
And how long will it take to figure out whether you will get asylum?
How long? 6 months, I think.
How long is the maximum that Andrew said?
Oh, like for 3 months.
6 years.
Oh, 6.
Until you get your actual papers. But she can begin to work and have health care in a few months.
Oh, yeah.
And she's protected from deportation during that time?
Correct.
Mm-hmm. And where are your brothers?
My brother, they are living in Iraq, in Sinjar, yeah. But they are nice, they are good. But he speak like me Kurdish. He told me, Mediha, I forgot Turkish. I don't wanna like speak Turkish anymore. And then he's going to school. He's nice from school, and then he told me one time when I was in Iraq, he told me, I wanna you teach me English too. I wanna learn English too. Yeah, but they are good. They are nice. Thank you.
How did you learn your English?
For like the movie, I was make a movie like for years. Hassan, he was a teacher before, and then he teach me some English too, and then we was talking together like for voice message for WhatsApp, and then because why I learn English, and then I go to classes like 2 years in the Sinjar in the Iraq, yeah. Because
Cool.
why my English is good.
Well,
Yeah.
you're doing great.
And she's starting school. She's been doing summer school, but she's starting school in New York City in 10 days.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Thank you.
So what are the plans for the film? How will it be seen by the wider world?
Yes, so we have some, of course, grand distribution dreams and plans. As of now, we have our theatrical to be announced, but I will say, if for anybody based in New York City or with New York City friends, we'll be there on October 11th. We can't announce the venue yet, but that'll be our theatrical premiere. And then we'll be the following week in Los Angeles, and then the following week in London, and then it should be available, awards pending,
Yeah.
March-ish of next year.
Next year. And it certainly will be a strong contender for the Academy Award nomination,
Thank you.
which it's eligible for by playing New York and Los Angeles. So
Yes.
that becomes key. Yeah. Other questions people have, things you want to say or ask, or yeah.
Thank you so much for the movie. It's wonderful. Thank you so much for the movie. I think everybody would agree it's wonderful and so amazing to have you both. I would like you both to talk more about the process, how you filmed. You said how you met, but the voiceover, how was it written? How did you think what to include and not? What do you want to say? Just about this whole process. How did it look and how long it lasted? And when did you think the movie has to be finished? And just any details are very
How it
interesting.
developed creatively, yes?
Yeah.
Has very poetic quality, for one. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. So her wandering around using this little camera, we had intended to use that audio. We liked sort of the grittiness. It just wasn't. We had a lot to cut. We had it as sort of narration, but it was always her wandering around. And then we decided that we needed to go back and add the omniscient narration. But what we knew all along is that we had to keep what she said in her voice, but also sort of how she said it. So we went back to Iraq, and just backtracking a bit, she was very involved in the editing. It was collaborative from the beginning. So she had seen her scenes, she had seen all of this, she had heard herself talk about all of these, whatever ended up as narration she had said before. Also, she kept a written journal, so we could pull from there. And so we would go back to these scenes, and we would play them, and then we would say, here's what you said, here's the original line of what you said about trauma. That was 2 years ago. How do you feel about that? And now you're seeing it in this scene. Is there something you'd like to change? And then we would just kind of sit with that scene for a little bit and describe, and she would just come up with, poetically, it ended up just with what she felt about trauma 2 years later, but all based on things she had already said wandering around the hills or sitting in the camp.
Just a comment here. Your courage is just unbelievable. I just wanted to ask you how old you were and how far along in school are you, and who are you staying with while you're here in the U.S.?
I live in New York City and in the Bronx, and I go to the school like in the summer, but like couple week, and then it's closed, the school. Yeah.
And how old are you?
How old am I? Now I am 19, and then in November I'm gonna be 20. Yeah.
And who are you staying with while you're here in the U.S.?
Tell them about your wonderful program that is helping you.
Oh yeah. I met like Angelo. He's working with Project Russo.
Project Russo. It's
Yeah.
an NGO based in New York.
Yeah, and they helping me a lot for get my paperwork, like this stuff, and then for example, like I go to work and then I go to school. They helping me a lot. Yeah. I was sick. Like I'm so lucky because I met them. Like they're helping me a lot. For example, they took care of me. Like they bring me in a doctor for my health insurance, like this stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I encourage all of you guys to look up, please, Project Russo. The work they're doing in New York City is just incredible.
Other comments, questions? Yeah.
What is it like to live in the United States? What is it like to live in the United States? And also, as a therapist, I know you have trauma. I'm wondering if you've gotten some help, some psychological help for your experiences, and I hope that you get it here. And yeah, just feeling for you and all that.
That's a good question. And I like United States because it's safety. And then most place I like in the United States, Washington D.C. And I love the like it's so clean, and it's so beautiful place. And then it's a government place because why I like it. For like therapist, yeah, I gonna go to therapist because I need therapist. Like everybody need therapist, not just me. Yeah.
Other comments, questions? Yes, in the back.
I'm sure like it was, you were both put in certain dangerous situations sometimes, and I was just wondering if you could talk a little bit about the process of like what did you do to protect yourself and them at the same time, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so we made a commitment early on to, if we were going to do a collaboration, we had to do it for one, we had to take our time. So we committed however long it took, we were going to be over there. It ended up we were over there for 4.5 years. And so that, a lot of that was explaining to them what documentary film was, explaining to the community how, you know, this, not only giving expectations of this might not make your life better, but it actually might make your life worse. So things like that throughout the early days of filming. There was no real risk for the kids besides how the community might take it, how more conservative members of their family might take it, especially with what Mediha was talking about. But we spoke to all those community members. We spoke to Mediha. She had endless consent and continuous consent workshops and all of that advocacy training. So that's sort of how we tried to mitigate any potential issues down the road, especially because now, as you can see, you know, the film is reaching a worldwide audience. So I filmed whatever she didn't film, for the most part. We had an amazing assistant camera woman, Annalise, over there, but I filmed most of what she didn't film. It was hairy at times. We had no option for anything other than a one-man crew for a lot of these shoots because of for example, that ISIS camp. I have dual citizenship with Italy, so my Italian passport probably saved me a few times, definitely saved me a few times, because there's no greater prize than an American journalist in some of those cities. Just sort of trusted who I was going in there with, especially the Syrian days. Dr. Imam was just an absolutely incredible woman overall, but she knew what she was doing. She went to that camp a lot. She went into that region a lot. She stood up to the border guards. She didn't take anything from the leaders within those camps, the male leaders within those camps. So I kind of just stuck by her side. I will say though that I edited that scene as well, the Syrian scene, and I didn't know what they were saying about bullets in the head and all of that until I was editing it, because I don't speak the language. And then a bunch of outlets came along with pieces on how dangerous that camp is. So it was sort of by the seat of my pants a lot. And then in retrospect, wouldn't do a lot of those days again.
The courage of the filmmaking combined with Mediha's courage are extraordinary. So,
Thank you.
I'd like to
one
thank
more
you.
question.
Thank you both for your courage in coming here. I have two questions. Do you think your brothers will come as well? And I do hope you find your mother, and I'm glad you feel safe.
You want to talk about your brothers?
Oh yeah. So I speak with my brother every day, FaceTime, in WhatsApp. Thank you so much. I hope so too. I find my mother because it's been a while I don't see her, and then either a couple a week ago I saw in my dream my mother. My first time in my life I saw in my dream, like she was teaching me how to drive. It was so nice dream, but still I think about just dream. I think she's in life, and then she think about me and my brother, because why I saw her in my dream. And then I think about her so much too. Everybody needs parents. Everybody needs support of mother or father too, because I am still young. So yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you.
And I can provide a little. So the brothers are we're shifting a lot of attention to getting them over. It's more difficult because of their ages, and they're males from Iraq, and that's seemingly impossible task to bring them over. But we're making progress, waiting very with bated breath for this election, because that will make a huge difference as to who's allowed to come from these countries.
Yeah. Whoa.
I just want to jump in with a brief comment. Mediha, you are an amazing young woman and beautiful, and you are really a hero of the Yazidi people by doing this and getting out and telling this story. And I really do believe that with this film going worldwide, that somebody is going to recognize your mother, and eventually you and your brothers will get her back. And thank you so much for this.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
She actually said that the other week, that despite Dr. Nimam, who was the only one doing these rescues, despite her passing, that there is hope that if the film goes worldwide, someone in some city will recognize her mother. And a huge obstacle for these women not coming home is that they just think their entire family is dead. So if she were to learn that there's a film about her children, that's sort of a source of hope.
Mediha and Hassan, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much.